Want the reward? Do the damn work. Challenge yourself. Inspire change. Choice, not luck. What's happening, everybody? Todd Crandell with another episode of Ignite Euphoria, and I am so happy to have one Ashley Spencer and little Hendrix with us today. How are you, Hendrix? That's good. Good way to start the show. So, Ashley, I'm glad you're here. Okay, this is going to be awesome, and one of the reasons why I wanted to start with Hendrix here. How does it feel walking in here, having him with you, doing this? What's the first thing that comes to your mind, just having him sitting on your lap?
Unbelievable. I think because I never really saw myself at this point, and now that I'm here, I wake up and it's so surreal. Like, I enjoy every day being a great mother to my son, working on the relationships with my other two kids, and really embracing the role that I've taken as being a mom, and having responsibilities and being somebody that they can depend on.
What is different about having him than being a mom with your other two? And we're going to talk about them at some point, but what is different about being a mom this time?
I think that first and foremost, I am in a very healthy environment, and I have an amazing support system. So, like, it prepared me. I was pregnant here. So, I prepared myself to be the mother that I am intended to be. And as far as it being different is, I have, is that okay?
Yeah.
I have him with me every day. He lives with me, and I don't know. I guess I wouldn't say it's, I really don't know what to say when it comes to being different, because I had my other kids when I was really young and I wasn't ready for it. And my youngest daughter, I was in heavy addiction with her while I was pregnant. And so it being different is I carried him while I was healing myself. So I think that reflects on how he is today. And I mean, he's a little squirmy right now, but majority of the time he's very calm and relaxed. And people always ask me, like, why, like, he's such a good baby. I wonder why he's such a good baby. And the only thing I can explain is that he was developed in a healthy environment.
How important to you was Racing for Recovery's, Skylar, you want to grab him? By the way, Skylar, you're awesome at handling him. Don't get any ideas of your own.
I told her, I said,
Right.
We already have a baby. Don't do anything else.
We're not doing that one yet, right?
Bye.
So that was great to have him to start with this, because one of the things I wanted to ask you, how did it feel to have Racing for Recovery support you in this? Because I'm trying to picture, like, what if we had a policy that said, no, if you're pregnant, you can't stay here or whatever. What if we didn't do that? Where do you think you'd be?
Well, I will tell you that this is probably the only place I've ever heard of allowing me to be here. Not only while I was pregnant, but after I had my baby. And so, like, I guess, like, through all my other pregnancies, it was never, my kids were never really accepted, because I was 15 with my first daughter, and then I was in heavy addiction with my second. So, like, it was, like, super taboo, and, like, nobody really accepted. I, like, started off with feeling wrong about the whole thing, like, wrong about myself while I was carrying them. And being here, I've had nothing but love shown to me with from the minute that I announced that I found out I was pregnant till now. And I have like the utmost support. So I think if it wasn't for how much acceptance I feel here, I'm afraid to say that I probably wouldn't be where I'm at today. And Hendrix wouldn't be probably with me at this point, you know?
That's a profound statement. So how long have I known you? I met you when you were 16?
You met me when I was 14.
Holy cow. Okay. So what was going on with you at 14 that you came to the old Thursday night Racing for Recovery meetings?
I actually first met you when you had your little counseling room attached to the lady that did, I believe, massage therapy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I met you before drugs and alcohol came into play. My mom heard about you, and she wanted me to get some counseling because she was starting to see things in my behavior that she was worried about. And long story short, it was a necessity that I saw you. And unfortunately, I was so young and closed-minded at the time that I didn't really hear anything that you said to me. And so I've always been the type of person, like, I had to figure stuff out on my own. And so unfortunately, but fortunately, I experienced addiction, and it led me down a dark path, but I'm grateful for it.
That's right. So again, I like that we're even talking in this manner already, because it's validating everything that I, as a counselor, and what Racing for Recovery believe in. You said this. You said I had to come see you because of behavior issues prior to addiction. Okay. So for the audience, what does that mean? Well, it means there was some type of emotional issue that was going on with you, that you weren't exposed to drugs yet, but you were feeling a certain way.
Right.
So, and we're not going to get into your stuff unless you want to talk about that. But what I want to talk about is the impact of whatever it is you went through. How did that affect your life emotionally, spiritually, sometimes psychologically? How did whatever you went through as a kid, that when I saw you at 14 or whatever, how did that affect the next years through addiction?
I would say that it affected me as far as I carried around a lot of anger and disapproval of myself. So it led me to want to be rebellious and basically find approval and validation through outside things that I didn't experience as a child.
So what did you need that you weren't getting? Like, what was missing that you're looking outside to fill that void?
I would say I was lacking security, love, feeling safe, and I didn't have very good self-esteem. So whatever outside sources I could find that made me feel good, it made me feel good about myself in a strange way. And so I had a false idea of what self-esteem was.
So this brings up the modeling stuff, because I think when you came into us, you were doing that. Do you want to describe like why you were doing that, what it gave you, what you thought it was going to give you that it didn't? Like, okay. What was that whole modeling process like for you as a young girl?
So like ever since I was little, I've always been complimented on things like of being or having a certain look of being mature. And so modeling to me, like at the time, was like a validation of like, oh, I'm pretty, or like that I have what other girls have or whatever. I didn't understand the concept of being unique at that point in my life. And so it ended up going very bad because I don't think people realize what modeling entails when you do. Like they critique you. So I already had low self-esteem. So on top of that, being told that I wasn't what fit the mold, or like I had to change this and that, and like it wasn't like, oh, you're beautiful just the way you are. It's like, I need you to do this, this, and this, and come back and see me in a week. And so I started using cocaine heavily, and I came back, and the agent that I had at the time was like, I can tell that you're on some kind of substance, like you've lost a lot of weight since I seen you last. And I thought that's what they wanted, so it just was a twisted ride.
I don't think I knew this part of your story. So a question in that, then was it accepted for you at that point, even though the person knew, and I'm not blaming that person, okay, but when they make a statement like, I know you're on something, okay, well, okay, was there help then, or was it like, good job, you look a certain way, now you're going on this next level?
Right, like I didn't get asked to stop until like down the road, you know, like when I first came back, it was like I could tell. I don't think she even said that she could tell I was on something. I think it was more like, you've dropped a lot of weight, like good job, you know, and like I'm sure she knew, you know, but nothing was said.
So you're automatically equating, okay, there's a problem emotionally. I'm into this. I'm not being accepted really for who I am. Mm-hmm. I start doing something that is adding to the hurt I already felt, and then you get rewarded for that. Mm-hmm. What was that like emotionally and mentally for you? I mean, 'cause you're a young kid when this is happening.
Well, I was very naive, obviously, as a child, like a younger girl. And I came from, I don't want to say a sheltered family, but like my mom worked very hard for me to grow up in Sylvania. And because of that, you know, I wasn't exposed to certain things in the world. And I think like when that all happened, like I said, I had a very twisted idea of what self-esteem was. So, like, being rewarded for essentially a bad behavior, I'm like, okay, well, at least I'm getting attention now, you know? Whether it be, and I think that's what led me to come see my mom putting me in counseling with you, is like I was acting out in school, I was getting suspended, I was making a name for myself as far as, like, I remember people told me, like, oh, you know, I was the kid, like, or the group of kids that, like, that you don't hang out with them because they get in trouble, you know? And so, like I said, like, any attention was good attention to me. So whether it be negative because of acting out or whatever, like, I felt good because of, you know.
Do you think if you hadn't had some of this stuff you experienced early on, you wouldn't even have had a drug or alcohol problem?
I think that the trauma-based stuff from my childhood is really where my addiction came from. So
I do want to give you an opportunity. If you want to talk about, you know, addiction stuff, let's do that in any way you want. Like, we can do whatever you want with that, because I think it's important to give people that are watching this, and hopefully there's a young girl that's watching this right now, like what it led to. Not so much the stories really, but what it did to your soul that already was broken. What was that journey like?
I mean, like, how what am I allowed to say on here?
You can say whatever you want.
Okay.
I'm just not saying anything for you.
Okay.
Actually, listen. You're talking to some young girl who's sitting out there.
That's what I'm thinking.
You know, are you okay? 'Cause
yeah, I'm okay.
yeah, I know.
Is some of this going to be cut out?
No.
Oh,
right?
shit.
Yeah. No.
Okay. As far as re-say your question, I'm sorry.
I want to give you an opportunity to talk about the dark side in whatever level you want to talk about it. And it's more, there's two things. I hope this is more cathartic and really showing you how awesome of a person you are, what you've survived. And it's going back to that first image you had sitting there with Hendrix. That's the result of what you've gone through.
Yeah. I'm not crying because I'm, like, afraid to say anything. I'm just thinking, like, it's, like, before you even said, imagine another, like, a little girl watching this, going down the path. Like, I'm just thinking of, like, the little girl that didn't have somebody like this to sit and show, like, be a visionary example of, like, what it can lead to, you know? And so, like, I'm crying for that little girl, you know?
Then tell her, right?
And, so, long story, I, eventually ended up I got pregnant at 15 with my daughter, Natalie, who is amazing and beautiful. And, I dropped out of high school, and I think I was so embarrassed and ashamed of myself that I ran away. I've always ran from my problems. So I ran away from home and away from my daughter and my mom in Savannah, and I ran to the north side of Toledo and essentially, like, was in a hideout there, you know, and got involved with some very negatively influencing people. And I started using heroin and crack cocaine when I was probably about 17 years old. 16 or 17, and because of the influencers I was around, and given my physical image, it was very easy for me to slip into the prostitution ring and sex trafficking. And because of my low self-esteem, I was very quick to let my morals go out the window. At first, it started, like, super, like, quote-unquote innocent. I would go out to dinner with older gentlemen and ultimately be, like, arm candy, you know? And then the more I exposed myself to those situations and the more my drug habit got intensified, the more I did, you know. And eventually I had no self-respect, no self-worth, and I ended up going from a arm candy roll to a prostitute walking the streets of North Toledo, doing anything and everything to get what I needed.
What did that, for this young, awesome kid who didn't feel good about herself, where you're describing at right now, how did you feel on an emotional level? What did it do to you? Like, what did it do to your soul? And was there any form of spirituality or faith in God or anything that you held on to at that point?
Well, I feel like my soul was in a cage, and people that, like my mom, and ultimately my mom, who, God love her soul, she would come looking for me, driving up and down the streets, showing up at hotels and knocking on doors. And she said anytime that she would see me, it was like I wasn't there. Like I only inhabited like a small part of my body, and like the rest was like a shell. And so I think that looking back now, and even when I was like at my lowest, I always felt protected. So as far as like feeling like faith wise, I don't think I was alone. Like I feel like if I was protected in the sense of I'm still here, you know. I'm still alive. I feel like I have a purpose. It wasn't for nothing. And my mom is actually the one that made me realize, because you know, now being sober for over a year now, she was talking to me one day and was like, I want you to know that, like, even though your addiction was bad and like a lot of bad things happened to you, like it wasn't for nothing. Like we all have a plan and a purpose, and like unfortunately some of us have to go down a tough path to like be able to find the light in the situation. But like I'm a believer that I there's a reason why that happened to me.
I concur with that 100%. And yes, you do have over a year of sobriety, which is awesome. So do you want to talk about, let's leave that alone.
It's okay.
Yeah,
I'm fine. I just didn't know how to word it, because it's a sensitive subject as far as like that's not who I am today.
No.
So like when I share those things, I mean, like, you know my story a little bit, but like people that are watching see me sitting here, it's like almost like unbelievable. I feel like, because I look at myself in the mirror and I don't see that person anymore. So like it's hard for me to talk about that, you know.
By the way, what is your full name? And I want you to say it with some conviction.
Okay. My name is Ashley Marie Spencer.
Period. Okay. You know what I'm talking about?
I know what you're
That's
talking
right.
about.
Nobody else does, but we do.
We do.
So let's talk about then you coming in and getting exposed to Racing for Recovery. And I know you're smart, and I know you saw the goodness that's here. I want people now who are battling addiction or whatever, we're going to do two things. We're going to talk about how awesome it is to be you and what you're doing and how you're going to be working here shortly. But first, I want to know, like, what worked when you first came in here, because I know some did, and what didn't work and why. And then we're going to get into when it all stuck. So when you're first coming in, what was good, what you liked, and then what still went wrong or what needed more work?
You're talking about prior visits here.
Yeah, even, you know, we can even do some of the stuff at the church and then your first time here.
Okay, so like we talked about like how I went to your office, and then a couple years later I started going to the meetings that were held in the church in Savannah, on Savannah Metamora, I believe is the street. And then when I would go there, I always looked forward to Thursday night meetings. Like I didn't really know anybody when I would come there. But I definitely felt welcomed, and I never felt like judged. Like I think like how we talk about how we don't ask people's DOC here, like I've never felt like an outcast, you know what I mean? Or I didn't even like look at people like, I wonder if they're an alcoholic, or I wonder if they shot heroin. Like I never did that. I just knew that we were all there for the same reason, that we wanted to be better. And so it was very welcoming and inviting. And so I went through that whole process of moving out throughout all the different rooms that we did in that church, because it kept growing. And then I was here when this building first opened. I was in the IOP room over here when there was only 10 people that came here, and now we're huge and it's awesome. And I actually remember I lived at Zeph, and I would get picked up and come here. Yeah. So that was awesome, because it was like everybody was like, how did you get in there? Like, from the Zeph, they were like, how did that happen? I was like, well, I was already established there, and when I came to live here, you know, whatever. And I loved it. I felt like there's always been like a fresh, different approach when it came to, like, I didn't feel like I was like, oh, I'm an addict for the rest of my life and I gotta go to these classes. Like, I was like, I can't wait for tomorrow's class, like, because it's like, it's not even like a class. It was like just like how just a group of people being real and honest and like not feeling ashamed. And we never really talked about like war stories or anything like that. It was just like, where can we go from here? And I think that's like what really kept me with my foot in the door here, because it's like I didn't have to. I think it was like I always felt so like drugged by my past that I like, the more we like not here but anywhere that I've been in throughout the years, is like so focused on the past that like I'm like, well, this is like a dark cloud over my life. Like, how am I supposed to get past this if I'm constantly reminding myself of who that person was, you know? And like in reference to the name thing, because I think it's important, in my addiction, I carried another identity because of whatever, and that was part of holding on to my old identity, is reminding myself of the past. So like, if I really truly wanted to shed my skin and be Ashley Marie Spencer, like, I needed to recognize the past, recognize where it went wrong, and move forward. Like, boom, boom, you know? And I think that's where this time it's really stuck, you know? It's like I came in here very raw and authentic and honest with myself. And I struggled a little bit in the beginning as far as like old behaviors of like bad relationships. And I came here with Hendrix's dad. And the more I healed, the more I was able to realize that that wasn't a good situation. And so that saying, like, God does for you what you can't do for yourself, there was a wake-up call the day he chose to leave and asked me to leave with him because I was carrying our child. And I said, absolutely not. At first I did. The night before, I called Dan and was like, I'm probably going to leave because the father of my child's leaving. But then I came in, I slept on it, came in, and I was like, there's no way that I'm going to do this to myself again, or my kids, you know, Hendrix included. And I knew if I stayed here and I did continue to do what I was doing, that I saw this for myself. I saw myself here, you know? And I don't think I've ever done that before. And I've mentioned to you a couple times that I've never had plans for a future. And I can honestly tell you today that I have big plans for myself. And I don't sit around and just wait for them to happen. I see opportunity and I execute it.
You know, I'm happy for you, and it's weird. I say this all the time, but I gotta think of a different word. But I'm proud of you because I've known you for so long, and the reason I asked you that question about what was right and what was wrong, it was like I saw the other times you'd come in here, and I'm like, God, it's great to see her, and then I'd listen to you and stuff, and I'm like, man, it's not there yet, you know. But the last time you came in, yes, maybe some of your behaviors were still there, but I could tell that there was that the real Ashley Marie Spencer was coming out. I'm like, okay, it's there, it's coming. And that day that I came out in the parking lot and said, good job when you decided to stay. I'm like, that's it. And I don't know if I told you then, but I know Dan and I talked about it, and I'm saying it publicly, and I've said it to you before. I'm like, we'll invest in that, meaning you, because you were doing things. And I just feel obligated that if somebody is making the effort here, we have to do whatever they need to give it back. And people saying, well, what are you running over there? You girls can get pregnant or whatever. And it's like, I'll keep it G-rated. I'm like, go away. You're not running this place. You don't know who these people are. You're judging them on what they do. Right. I'm looking at you as a human being that's in a situation, and who are we not to do anything but to help you? And it's worked. And this is the stuff that I like now. It's like where you're going.
Right.
So, and it's even weird when you said, you're talking about our support or the IOP groups. When you asked to come back into the group that Skylar and I are fortunate to run, I'm thinking, man, haven't you heard all my crap? And you're like, it's always something new. What has it been like for you to truly find yourself and the drive that you've had now to do what you've done? You've got over a year of sobriety. You just finished your CDCA. I didn't tell you to do those things. You did it on your own. What has that process been like, and how do you feel from it?
Well, not only did I finish my CDCA, but I enrolled because I dropped out of high school. Yep. So I enrolled in GED classes, and I start in January. And so for me, that's huge because like I said before, I've always ran from my problems. So, taking the easy way out to me was like a norm, and it was like no wonder I had low self-esteem because I felt like I never worked for anything, like even in my addiction, like, in the beginning, like I had everything handed to me because I was a fresh face. I, didn't look like most of the people out there using, and so like that's, eventually I obviously went down the dark side of it, but like, I think that's why my run went on for so long is because I had unlimited resources. So like when it came to my sobriety, like this is why it didn't work in the past, because I was like, oh, this isn't easy for me, so I'm going to take off, So I think it was just a matter of me like growing up and putting my big girl pants on and like realizing like if I want good things in life, like if I want change, something's got to change, So, like, for me, I take pride in the fact of, like, I wake up at, like, not only accomplishing all those things, but doing it, being a mom as well, Like, I have amazing support here, and I can ask anybody for help when I want it. But, like, I struggle with that because it's, like, to me, asking for help is a sign of weakness, but I'm learning to ask, and a big part of why Hendrix and I have such an amazing bond is because I've put him before, anything. And so he literally sat with me while I did my CDC, like on my chest. I have pictures of us doing it together. And, it was challenging, but it was worth it, because I can say now, like, I've done not only pushing myself to be better, but doing it with an extra task as well. And
what's so ironic is you have said some very kind things to me over the decade that I've known you, and you'll say things like, first of all, I want to say this too, Natalie.
Yes, she's amazing.
11 years old, right? Yeah. Sending you a text message for my birthday last weekend saying, tell Todd I'm proud of him. And I'm thinking, what 11-year-old kid says they're proud of a 54-year-old man? But it's like, that's a testament of what you've shown her. And you have said those things to me over the years, like, I'm so proud of you for how hard you're working or whatever. And I'd take that as very kind, but I'm like, well, why aren't you doing it yourself?
Right.
But now you are, and you feel that that pride. And the only reason that Racing for Recovery is the success it is because I've surrounded myself with good people. I didn't do all this. And that's what's now being given back to you.
Right.
When you show the effort, you get the reward with the support, right?
Right.
So now that you have your CDCA and stuff, and you're going
Do we
back
have
and
or tissues? My nose is running from crying.
know
It's
there's
been
some back in
bugging me.
there.
I keep snorting.
use your shirt. No. What are you gonna do? What do you see yourself doing here? Because I always tell people, you want to work here, create your own job, right? So what are you gonna do here?
So I've kind of started laying the foundation for what I hope to do here.
Not hope.
I am going
That's
to do here. So we started there's always been a women's meeting here. But me and Jess took it, twisted it a little bit, and made it more personal. Because I think it was in the past, not that it wasn't a good meeting, it just was scratching the surface. And I think women need a safe place to speak upon what they feel they can't necessarily share in a group of, sorry, it's driving me nuts, a group of like men and women.
Yep.
And we've done a lot of like confidence building, getting real and honest about like how carrying yourself in sobriety is very important if you want self-respect and self-worth, validation, that kind of thing. And I think next week is going to be really awesome. But because of the success and the amazing trust that's happening in that room, it's been discussed between Dan and I and you to work with, for me to work with the women that, or girls that come off the street and have been through a similar background as me or whatever. And I think it's just to help, the next girl or woman in need, that doesn't feel like they have anyone or anyone that understands. And, I'm cautious of what I share in this podcast, but I definitely have had challenges in life in general, and I'm very open and honest about it. So I think it gives people, like me being vulnerable and honest, allows the next person to be. And so I think that there's going to be some amazing things, connections and friendships built as far as women together. So I don't, we did this in group the other day, right? It's like, I don't see you being, this is just my take on it, I don't see you being vulnerable at all right now. You're showing strength, perseverance, character, integrity. That's not being vulnerable. That's being an authentic, sober, healthy, productive soul. That's awesome. You think back of like where you were walking into here, and as you said earlier, God brings you these things for reasons. It's like now you're going to be an asset to so many other people. Right.
And that's what this whole thing is built on, right? And you have my word on it. We're going to do whatever you need to do to help do that, because I can't run a group like that.
Right.
But I know that's so needed, and that's what I love about having people like you and Jess and even Skylar here. That it's you guys are bringing another piece of this stuff that's really going to help this thing grow.
Right.
What else do I want to talk to you about? How freeing has it been to let all that stuff from your past go?
I feel like it's a huge weight lifted off of me, but I think it's also necessary for me to I mean, like, I never forget where I came from. And I think it's necessary not to hold. I feel like holding on is a bad way to put it, but being aware of those behaviors, because it keeps me from allowing that alter ego to come back,
Right.
you know?
Yep.
And not only that, but working with other women, I'm able to see the signs of masking. So, because I did that a lot when I came here in the past, is I would put on a mask and be whatever you guys wanted me to be, but that was human nature as far as what was conditioned to do. So now that the mask is removed and this is just me with my crying, goofy, flawed self, like, I embrace who I am today. And I never thought I would say this, but I definitely love myself today.
That's incredible.
And I have no regrets when it comes to the path that I walked. I feel like I said, it happened for a reason. And because of my story and my struggle, I'm able to help the next person. And I think with true struggle, you recognize true success.
So I want to ask you, what has it been like to be around my people might not know my daughter Skylar, and like, it's been interesting for me to watch that, because she wasn't doing some of the stuff you and I were doing, right? And at first, when she started working here, I knew she would be good at it. I just didn't know like what type of impact she would have. And the more that she's doing this, her not being a drug user is just as relevant as being one with helping somebody. So how has your relationship with her helped you to maybe learn more about your prior self, your current self, and where you're going to be going with being service to other people?
So, like, me and Skylar are actually very, very close, and we talk daily. So, she has been through similar struggles without addiction, as far as, like, body image and we relate to each other when it comes to family dynamics. And so I look at her as like a little sister that I never had, and she shared with me that she looks up to me like a big sister. And honestly, there's some days where I feel like I can't tell if she's the older sister or the little sister. You know what I'm saying? Because like, seeing her here, I've literally watched her grow up. So seeing her here now, today, and what she does around here is inspiring, and it motivates me to, follow in the footsteps or whatever. And, it's interesting to see how she never went down the path that you and I chose to, but she sits in group and completely relates to everything we talk about. Right. So I think as her father, I think you should be extremely proud of her, because she's been through a similar stuff and hasn't had to numb herself,
right?
And so I know I'm proud of her, and I know you're proud of her.
I'm extremely proud of her ability to, and I think that, again, that's another testament of what Racing for Recovery is about. And somebody said it in group yesterday about you don't have to have a drug or alcohol problem to benefit from every day of what we're doing in here.
I mean, I think that people, even in general, I've said that before, as far as like, I feel sorry for the people that don't get to be aware of themselves, you know, on the level that we are. You know what I'm saying? Because every day we work on new things to be a better person in general, you know? And I think that people that don't, I'm not saying like go out and have an addiction or anything,
Right.
but like people that don't get to experience our lifestyles are missing out.
100%.
So-
I agree. Is there anything else you want to share with people that are watching this today?
I don't know. This has been an emotional interview. I didn't know what to expect coming into this, and I am just extremely grateful and honored to be in this position that I am today. And like, I'm proud of myself. For the first time in my entire life, I'm proud of who I am today, and it's been challenging, but it's been worth it.
I'll tell you what, Ashley, you have said many things since I've known you, but hearing you say that you're proud of yourself, for me, it's like, that's all I wanted to do when starting this thing. That's it. You know, it wasn't started because of the latest epidemic or whatever. It was just to have people find themselves and be proud of themselves. And you're a prime example of that. So
Right.
good on you, right?
Good on you, kid.
Thanks for watching, everybody, and stay tuned for more episodes of Ignite Euphoria. Check our other episodes out on our YouTube channel, and if you or a loved one is battling addiction, call Racing for Recovery today. We'll see you next time. Bye.